Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders that help it grow. Lance, good to see you. Katie, good to see you. And joining us for the first time is Scott Sailors out of Nebraska. How much snow's on the ground, Scott?
We have maybe straight up, we were about 2 feet, give or take, and then the drifting has added a couple of feet. So in
All
place
right, well, that counts. That counts.
Yeah, a lot.
Where are you out of, Scott?
Lincoln, Nebraska, capital of Nebraska here.
All right, very good. And how long have you been in business?
I have been here over 20 years, close to 25 years, and Nedco has been in existence for probably about 30 years.
Awesome. Well, very good. Well, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
We did name you our 2019 SBA Rural Small Business Lender of the Year. Weren't we going to? Well, we'll do here. Congratulations. You got the plaque, right, Scott?
I got the plaque, and we were planning on going to the award ceremony in Vegas, and God. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're still planning. We're going to do that. We'll have a lunch in Vegas sometime, maybe,
sure.
whenever. No, and it was very nice. This is your U.S. Senator. She gave a very nice testimonial on your behalf, and I'm a huge fan of what the CDCs do, the nonprofits, and your commitments to that underserved market in rural America. What's Nebraska economy look like these days?
Well, I'll tell you, things here, in spite of the COVID, are looking very, very well. We're very optimistic about the economy. You know, we're agriculture based, and so our corn prices are up, our soybean prices are up, our cattle prices are up. Here at the CDC, we're seeing record loan volume, and I attribute that to three things. We have over 100 loans in the pipeline. Okay, we're the only CDC in the state of Nebraska. We could be as close as 105 loans. A good pipeline for us in the past was 40 to 50 loans. So what we're looking at is three things now. It's just these historically low rates. We've got the fee reductions. We've got low fuel prices. And we have a whole bunch of people who've decided to start businesses that may have been on the fence. And the COVID comes in, and either their businesses are cutting back, they're laying off, there's furloughs, but we've never seen this type of activity. So those three factors combined have resulted in record.
You know, I'm a big fan of rural America. In fact, on Friday we're going to devote the program to USDA. What's rural Nebraska looking like in terms of job creation?
Okay, rural. When you get outside of Lincoln and Omaha, that's our economic. Geographic economic area. You've got a lot of pretty good activity in Grand Island and Kearney. But as you get out into far, far rural Nebraska, things are difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, if agriculture is having a great year, so we're very blessed to have that. If agriculture isn't having a very good year, there is not a lot of development in the 93 counties outside of a few selected counties in Nebraska, which have the population.
You know, and we have rural America, and I have to tell you, the rural hospital situation, rural health care, infrastructure, it's very difficult. Hey, let's go to some of these questions we have. Do you have any PPP Hold Code apps in limbo? What I mean by that, Lance, is they're not talking to us about it. What do you think?
You got a hold code message. Yeah.
83%.
I'm not surprised by that, Bob. Of course, the massive list of hold codes that exist for PPP loans, and just working your way through those hold codes and getting an SBA response. And guys, SBA is doing the best job they can. It's just significant volume and a lot of issues to work through.
Very good. And I know you're going to be doing that webinar on Tuesday on tips on how to solve issues. What percentage of your SBA loan portfolio is 504?
You know, the fun thing for me, Bob, is my pipeline consists of both 7A and 504. And right now, 504 is dominant in my pipeline.
Here we go. What do you think of those numbers, Scott?
Oh, we are exclusively 504.
I know that. But
Yes.
Overall, Katie, you can jump in here. The 7A numbers are down, but 504 is up, correct, Katie?
Yeah, 504 is up a little bit, especially from last year, and then closer to the numbers we were seeing in fiscal year 2018. So it seems like it's going to be a great year. It's a great start to the year at least. So I'm surprised more people aren't involved, but it is a kind of its own niche in a way.
Bob, one thing you're going to see is I bet February is a huge 504 month, because there were some applications that may have gone in January that have waited to February to take advantage of some of the relief help that comes with a 504 approved after February the 1st, such as the 1112 payments and others.
Sure. Yeah,
Lance. And Lance, I appreciate you going off script.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. I do that all the time.
You do that all the time.
Lance, we are seeing a lot of that here as well with our loan officers are here, that people have delayed their
Well,
application.
since you brought it up, Lance and Scott, let's go ahead and talk about it now. What are the rules after February 1st, Lance?
Well, I mean, Scott probably can help me with this, but if you do it after February the 1st, you're going to get the 6, 11, 12 payments on the debenture issue. And then that, is it a 1.5% fee, Scott, that's waived? Yeah.
Wait, the processing is waived, and it's the third-party lender fee is waived as well.
But are those fees paid by the Treasury, Scott?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so the lender or the CDC and the lender, they don't lose those fees, right?
Right. So as those authorizations are issued, then we receive a check from Treasury in the amount of 1.5% of the debenture amount. So hypothetically, $1 million, we get a check for $15,000.
Okay, nice.
And Bob, one of the things that, a bigger 504 loan, those two things by themselves, say the debenture has a payment above $9,000 a month, that's $54,000 in savings. And you wrap in that 1.5% fee going away on a loan that size, it's going to be around $30,000 additional dollars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not to mention the great interest rate that they get on the debenture.
And we've clarified, Katie, that these payments are not taxable, same as 7A, correct? Okay.
Right.
And so, borrowers, there was no 1099s that are being issued. So that's all good news. We get this question all the time, Scott. The deferral payments or the forgiveness payments, are they for the debenture, or do they also cover the first lien position?
No, just for the debenture.
Okay.
Just for the debenture. Mm-hmm. Yep,
What are the current rates?
We the 20 years.
Hold on.
The correct one's not up there, Bob. No.
Well, I rounded. All right, go ahead, Scott.
2.7. 2.7.
Yeah, a little under 2.7.
Although,
And I cut you off. You were going to say something. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, we're at 2.7.
And Scott, I'm sure there's someone who doesn't know, how are those rates set? This was the rate for January. Tell the audience how the rates are set for 504.
Okay, so those, when you get the rates today, what your rate actually isn't set until you fund and your debentures are sold.
Go through the logistics. How does that work?
So we would have, let's just say if your loan went to loan committee, it's passed by the board, and then we get authorization from the SBA. Your fees that are in that debenture, in that authorization, are set, but the interest rate itself is not. So it could be a year, it could be 6 months down the road before we go into market. We sell those 10-year, those debentures, but you're pegged off the 10-year Treasury. So the combination of those three then are added together, and we get an effective interest rate.
Scott, go through the process and how these loans are approved. They're not, the lender, the CDC doesn't have the PLP authority.
Right.
So what happens?
Right.
And also tell me what's going on with what is SBA's attitude toward hospitality these days?
Okay. Well, let's do hospitality first, if we could. Our board of directors, about give or take, not quite a year ago, we finally met as a board and passed a resolution changing our credit policy that we are not going to do any more loans in the hospitality area until the COVID shakes out. We have a pretty heavy concentration of hotels in our portfolio currently, and they've been good as gold over the years, over the last 25 years. If somebody came to the hotel, great deal. It was a great deal. So when the COVID hit, it was catastrophic for the lodging industry, especially here in Nebraska, people driving through.
Right.
So we had a lot of hotels, and those folks are experiencing extreme difficulty. So we have not taken a loan to the SBA for a hotel in close to a year. So I would guess that they would look at that very, very seriously as a credit they may not want to have. So the loan process here, what happens is, typically a borrower goes to the bank. Well, sometimes the borrower will contact us first, and we have to have a bank involved, obviously. So we try and do that together, and the bank will do their credit review, and they contact us, and then we run it through our credit process, our credit analysts, and then we send it to our loan committee. And if it gets approval there, then we package the first lien and the second lien together as a project, and we send it off to the SBA for an authorization. Now, we are experiencing some pretty significant delays, like you and I were talking about, Bob, in our podcast. But that's going to clear up. They're trying very hard there. So then once we get that authorization, then we send it on to our loan closing department. There's 2 people in there. We have an on-staff attorney. So we got an authorization that's good for 4 years. So we're in the process. So if it's construction, a little bit longer. If they're purchasing a building, not so long. And once we get that to where we've closed on our part and the bank's part, then we go ahead and get that off to the SBA, and we are ready to get our application in for funding.
Very good. Thank you for that overview. Hey, I do want to compare, Lance and I like to compare where we are today versus 10 years ago. And the question is, what were the interest rates on 504 during 2008? Did it hit 8%?
True. There were a few.
Yeah, true. It was right at 7.9 something.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. And the reason why we like to bring this up, Scott, I don't know, and I'll throw this to you, is compare this financial crisis with the crisis 10 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you, this crisis, the crisis in 2008 was slower, in my opinion. It was more gradual. You could kind of see it tipping, see it going. Yeah. And there was nothing you could do about it. With this one, we closed the office on Friday with the COVID crisis. We closed the office on Friday, and we were fine. We opened up on Monday, and we had over 100 requests for deferments.
Yeah.
It was that fast in a portfolio of 450 loans. I mean, it was beyond catastrophic. And if the CARES Act hadn't passed, to be honest, we'd be in serious trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we all agree with that. Yeah.
But so the difference being, this one was so sudden, there was nothing we could do. We couldn't work with borrowers. We couldn't work with banks. It was just people just calling up saying, hey, we can't make the payments. We're out.
Right. Yeah. The 2 major factors I see, and I've said this before, is instead of bailing out the big banks, they chose to bail out Main Street and the borrowers. And also there's credit availability. We were very much in a tightening credit situation 10 years ago. And that's why we're focusing on these interest rates. But 2.7%, that's a pretty amazing rate, Scott. That cash flows a lot of good businesses.
And, another interesting aspect of that, I was talking to a borrower about it yesterday, is these loans are assumable with proper credit.
Yeah.
That's a feature that isn't marketed very much, I think, in the U.S., but I was telling these borrowers yesterday, if you've got it's a computer IT company, you're going to get a funding of below 3%. Let's just say 2.7% for illustration here. And if interest rates go up to let's say 8%, you're holding a piece of paper that's good for 2.7%, and you could have that assumed.
Yeah.
And you can even mark that up. I'm assuming is you can have to buy that piece of paper from you. An arbitrage.
I'm going to talk very quickly on debt refinance. Then we have a number of questions we get into. What's going on with 504 debt refinance, Scott?
Okay, I'm going to have Jason. Jason, you put me in here.
A true CEO. Hey, Jason, get in here.
About debt refi.
We're hungry for some guidance from the SBA.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's a lot of good changes that are coming, and a lot of bankers are calling us anxious to take advantage of them. And the best we can say is, well, this is what we think it'll be, but when can we actually start processing those applications? That's a big question mark right now.
Yeah. So we're waiting for some technical assistance.
Yeah. The change in the job creation rule back to the 2008 methodology, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some changes we think to the job creation methodology,
and finally being able to refi existing 504 debt.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm familiar with.
And 7A.
Yeah, we're going to be able. I think we're going to be able to refinance 7A debt and existing 504 debt, which we can never do 504 debt before. If that is the case, what percentage of the portfolio do you think would be eligible for refi, given the lower rate versus the higher rate?
Oh gosh, I mean, you're talking about a majority of the portfolio that, we thought 5% was great.
They thought 5%.
Right.
We could have hundreds of loans refinance.
Good.
Here.
Katie, any idea when that's going to hit? Do you know?
I haven't heard anything yet, so it could be tomorrow. It could be next week. We don't really know yet.
Any insight?
I've not heard a thing, but Scott's right on point. There would be a tremendous opportunity. Even, if you did a 7A loan a couple years ago and it's, a 7.5% deal, with commercial real estate as collateral there'd be a lot of those opportunities as well to float into a 504 product.
Yeah.
Let's go to these questions real quick. Number one, Philip says, "Hey, we're receiving declines, more than one, with issues of SBA accepting the EIN numbers, but the lender's saying it's correct." And then SBA says, "Oh, go talk to LexisNexis," but LexisNexis link is down. Any good ideas, Lance?
I don't know exactly, and I think the question he's asking is anybody else having these issues, and maybe that's a poll question we should roll out tomorrow just to find out. It's just like the SBA participant lender that said SBA came back and said the borrower was dead.
Yeah.
And the borrower was not dead.
Well, remember also there was, Philip, there was the fraud going on where a group was stealing other companies' EIN numbers. And I know there was in Georgia, there were about 10 or 12 companies that were caught up in that. Maybe you're caught up in that. And it can be resolved, but obviously there's issues there. Brian wants to know, should lenders be locking borrowers up from getting a PPP elsewhere if they haven't fully applied through them yet? I'm pretty sure the FAQ answer is no, but some lenders seem to be overly aggressive with this. Lance, first of all, you're only accepting existing customers. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of institutions are only accepting applications from existing customers. And there's some reasons for that, Bob. They already have most of the information necessary to support the PPP loan amount. I've not heard of lenders being overly aggressive at keeping them from applying elsewhere. I think that's more a competitive stance, I would guess, but I don't think they can keep a PPP borrower from applying wherever they want to, whether it be a second draw or a first draw. This is much easier with the same lender.
This is from Craig. This is non-PPP. The question is, hey, we submitted a $500,000 7A loan to through Tran. We got the 90% guarantee, but the calculations included a $12,000 borrower guarantee fee. What do we do?
I think,
Heavy sigh.
I think you need to send an email to your appropriate servicing center. There should not be a guarantee fee on it. But that may be one where E-Tran just didn't catch it.
Right. We also got another follow-up question, and they wanted to know the guarantee is good for $3.75 million on 7A. And if we go over that, does it revert to 75%? I think it's 4.1 million. And if the answer is no, the 3.75 remains constant, and you just up the top of the gross amount of the loan. So you could have a 84% loan guarantee, correct?
That's correct. The $5 million 7A loan will still have a 75% guarantee.
Lance, give a little elevator pitch on your on a couple of webinars we're doing. You're doing PPP.
Well, first of all, we're doing a PPP webinar for your customers. So you as a participant bank could bring customers in and help them get educated on the PPP loan process. That's on February 9th. I think it's a great customer service because I know there are a lot of questions that customers would like to get answered, and you can register and pull some customers into a COVID compliant conference room and let them get the information they need about the PPP loan process. The first one's going to focus on NAICS code 72. The second one we're doing on the 11th, we're going to talk about how to hopefully resolve some of those borrower hold codes that you're getting back. And so this may be an opportunity for you to get educated on what kind of documentation is necessary to overcome a hold code.
And then on Tuesday, the 16th, Lance is going to follow up on non-72 SIC codes. So that's what we're doing. Hey, I got a bunch of questions. We'll hold them over tomorrow. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a million.
Nebraska. Appreciate it. And Lance and Katie, as always, thank you. We'll catch you all tomorrow. And thank you for joining us for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.